Hello and welcome back to the Bright Founders Talk podcast from Temi. Temi is an international software development company that designs, builds and delivers software for sustainable businesses and promising startups. My name is Chris and today's guest is someone who is at the forefront of prescriptive intelligence and has an extensive amount of experience in the tech world. Kristian Puggaard, welcome to the podcast. How are you today?
Thank you, Chris. I'm excellent as always, but today is a good day.
Excellent. So we've got some quick fire questions as always. The first one, are you an early riser or a late worker?
A bit of both. I get up early in the morning, but I also like to work in the evening.
Really? Okay. You don't sleep that much then. You just have a very short...
Yeah, I try to get a lot of sleep, but you got kids, so you got to get them up early in the morning and off to the office and then home and then I like both of it. I get sleep. It's important.
Very true. How do you treat yourself after a really hard day in the office?
If it's a hard but also successful day, I think I have time. I like to prepare a good meal and eat that with my family or my wife or friends. If I don't have time for it, sometimes I just like to sit and watch a good series on Netflix or HBO or something like that.
In terms of food, is it something particularly Danish or just any cuisine?
No, actually, typically, I like to cook Italian, French, but also if it's like Mexican, that kind of thing. My wife is more into the Asian cooking, so we try to split the world between us.
Nice. Just because I've heard about Copenhagen having some of the best restaurants in the world, or the number one, so it's very interesting.
It's not my restaurant though. I'm not that good.
What do you listen to or read that inspires you in business?
I like to read strategy books, all from like the classics from Clayton Christensen, but also some of the newer stuff like Playing to Win. Different kind of strategy books is important. Nowadays, we run a book club here in Tempe as well, so we do a lot of reading about how to develop SaaS companies, and I'm very inspired by that.
That's really cool. I've never heard that before. So it's like you have something per week or per month, and then you meet up in...
Yeah, so we have a book club, and we, everybody who has time for it and want to participate, they get an invitation, and then they sign up. We order the book. We want to have them physically as well. Then we meet up, and either it's in the morning, then we have some breakfast together. In the afternoon, we drink some wine or something like that. And, the frequency depends a bit upon, how fast is business going and where's the energy. So... it's occasionally, I'd say, but I say 3 to 6 times during the year.
Nice, all right. That sounds great. Talking about other sort of beneficial activities, I want to start off by asking you a little bit about your work as a president and board member of the Green Cross. How did you get involved in that?
Yeah, that was actually a long time ago. I've also been caring a bit about the climate issue, and now everybody understands and see the problem that we're working with. But back when I was in the early days of my career, I got the opportunity to work in an organization that were initiated by Gorbachev, actually, the former Soviet president. But after that, he came out and he said we need to do something because climate change is going to make unpeace in the world, to bring war and conflict. So that has been something. It's a global organization. In some countries, it's actually pretty big. Also, they have Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt and those kind of people in the forefront, as well as ambassadors. So big organization. In 2008 or 9, I think we had the COP 15 in Denmark. One of the conferences around climate change, and we did a lot of work for that. That was a volunteering job, and I'm not so active anymore, but I'm still very engaged in that climate course.
I'm just wondering, in terms of Denmark, is it something that a lot of businesses incorporate into the way they function? Or is it something just that the company you work for now incorporates at all?
I think that a lot of companies incorporate it. Some companies are also in Denmark are built on doing, good stuff for the climate. So it's about the windmills. Most of the big companies out of Denmark, for instance, but also other small startups, analytics companies, etc., do work with climate change.
Interesting. Yeah. Now, going back to your studies, what did you study, and did you always know what you wanted to do at that time?
So I studied political science because I thought, policy and development in society were pretty interesting as well. So back then, I thought that I might, end up having a career in the public administration or within politics or public affairs or something like that. I found out later on that was not where I had the energy. But as you can hear when we talk about the climate change and green cross, there's still this societal thinking, what's happening around us, what kind of world are we building, that is kind of important to me as well.
Interesting. Okay. And then after that, you went in to do sort of a couple of different positions, right? I tried to have a look at your experience, and it's quite varied. Is that something you were just trying to, pick up new information, or is it something, again, like you were not sure what you wanted to do, so you just tried a bit of everything?
No, to begin with, I thought that I would be within, you can say, politics. So I went into the government, the business, or the central administration, the ministries, worked in that domain. And then, I found out that one of the things I had was that data and analytics, and the thing that we can know and we know about the world, and that we were able to provide to the world, either from a business perspective, a society perspective, or individual, or whatever it is, the technologies that are available for us are, much more developed compared to what we use today. So I started working in the public administration, developing some analytics projects. Throughout that time, you can say that I had the feeling that we didn't utilize that power enough compared to the decisions that we make and the impacts that we are having here as well on the society, and we don't even use that technologies within data and analytics. So I was approached at some point by a consulting company, and they asked me if I wanted to go out to the consulting company to develop a new platform where we were able to do econometrics and statistics at the most advanced level ever seen in Denmark, at least at that point in time. So we did that, and we built up a consulting company where we had the econometricians. That is before you would call it data science. That we had these the biggest team in the Nordics within a few years.
I just wondered, because from my experience living in different countries, the government side of things is always quite underdeveloped in terms of tech. Did you experience that the same when you jumped into working in the public sector? You found that they were a little bit behind the private sector, or maybe Denmark's a bit more advanced than the countries I've been to?
I think that also compared to some of the countries I've been to, Denmark is advanced when it comes to the public administration. But, there is something about the logic, the way the public administration works, that how do you make the right priorities? The bad companies within the government, they don't crash and go down, they don't go bankrupt like they do in the public and the private sector. So therefore, in the government, there would be a variation of how good they are. But I think some in the Danish government at some domains have been pretty far ahead when we talk about, for instance, giving access to data, free and open access to data, also government public data. And that is something that we have built our company upon today. And we would not have been able to do it in the same level if we were in other countries where it's more difficult to get that kind of access and work with across data sources as we do. So in some areas, but I think, many countries have some areas where they are a bit far ahead compared to the others. But this opening up and making public data available, I think we see that in Denmark as a front runner, and some of the Baltic countries, Estonia, like incredibly digital as well. And then you see other pockets where things start developing as well.
I saw that you're talking about Estonia and other places. I saw you've done a lot of speaking work. You've done a lot of presentations. Did you notice that, there are some countries which are a bit more interested in evolving in terms of tech, or later we'll talk about different types of intelligence. Did you notice maybe Estonia is at the forefront? Because I did hear some whispers on the internet that sort of Estonia is growing incredibly fast in that area.
Yeah, I think Estonia is really on the forefront, along with Finland, actually. And I think there's something about being the smaller countries, having been through a crisis to some extent, and also a highly educated population as well, where you try to say, let's go do stuff, and then you can sort of gather around an issue that you need to do. So I think Finland and Estonia, the mindsets are great. Actually, I would say that the Baltic, they're small countries and they have this Soviet Union, heritage that they have been coming out of. But I think that these countries, they're really far ahead compared to a lot of other countries. You see it also in, for instance, the Netherlands. You'll also see, people that are really on organizations that are, that have incredibly high level. But then you see other parts of the society that's way behind at the same time, and other ways of working. And one of the things that strikes me in some of the countries that are ahead is that the people there, they have like, let's go do it. We're mature on this. We want to be the first runners, and you don't like meet people, potential clients that sit around waiting or discussing for years. Either they're in or they're out, and and they do what they want to, and they progress fast. That's a culture that you build.
In terms of, I see that you worked as head of section and also in economics, and you were saying about in the government as well. I just wondered, is there anything during that time, maybe your studies as well, that you learned and you still incorporate in your work today?
Yeah, I think to a large degree there is, and also a few of the people in the company have that same kind of mindset. Because when you work with tech and you work with data, you can always work from, upwards, bottom up from the data, and you think we got to develop a cool feature or something. But we have the society perspective on everything we do at the same time. So we see what kind of market is this, what kind of framework regulations do you have, what is the overall economics that you would want to, and the overall analytics that you would want to combine this with. For instance, if you look at a company and you want to predict something about a company, or you look at a market and you want to predict something about the market, you could never predict it if you don't take into account what's happening around these companies and how's the development going. So this, you can say, socioeconomic and macro perspective is something that we embed in our services, our solution, and it makes it completely different, because some of those that we meet out there that you would say are sort of competitors to what we do, they would be more like they might make a lead list for you of companies that do something right, and even though we look at companies, we just simply look at it in a different way. To give you a very, very specific example, that is before Tembi. That was when I did consulting. So we worked with some ports, and they wanted to predict which ships that would engage or would arrive in a port, within a few days. Typically, they know that a couple of months in advance, because somebody books, we're gonna arrive with this vessel here with a load of containers. And then you wouldn't hear from them until 2 days before. So we're actually arriving at 2 p.m. 2 days from now. And in that meantime, a lot of things can happen. So, and then you typically use the AIS systems. That is things, if like Flight Radar, that kind of service. These ships have the same. So you can go in and find out where are they. So if you're just trying to predict based on that, you would see which ships will arrive within a couple of days or within a week or something like that. However, some ports, they were in this odd situation that some vessels, they did not show up for a while. And why did they not show up? They couldn't understand it, and you couldn't predict it. But that was because rates for different kinds of freight rates for specific goods in the Mediterranean had changed. So they increased, and this meant that this kind of vessel would not go to harbors in the Nordics. They would simply stay in the Mediterranean. And if you didn't have that, you can say, macro perspective on predicting whether or not a vessel would arrive or not, you would simply not see it until it was too late. And then you would stand there with a harbor that was, prepared for X number of vessels within this size, and you said no to a lot of others because you would expect to have room, but they simply didn't show up. And that it's just a picture of an example of how merging these two things do make a difference in what we try to do.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. It seems crazy that, that sort of cargo would not arrive and so on. And yeah, it's interesting that different, I suppose, channel routes, they take different routes depending on the cost, I suppose.
Yeah, but also depending on the potential revenue. So, and if that revenue grows, then, you have to ship it by train or something else, because the vessels are taking these routes right now. Mm. And then they'll come back when the prices drop for that in the Mediterranean. A few months or years later, they will come back.
After that, you moved on. Well, your first big position, I believe, was with Damvad.
Yeah.
Where this was your first experience of analytics in business?
Yeah. That was my first in the private sector. Yes, it was. And that was a consulting company.
This was okay. What kind of things were you consulting on? Just a wide range of businesses, or?
It was mainly using data and analytics for companies in different. To begin with, it was actually mainly for government, but over a while, it turned to be like the companies that worked with public affairs needed to understand what is happening. So we had different clients, like from small clients, but to big clients like Google and the Boeing company out of the US. That kind of companies as well that needed to understand something about what is actually happening on you can say a socioeconomic scale. And in that journey, that was when back then people said big data, and then data science started showing up. But we were doing this analytics, but just in another domain. So we transformed our company to become a data analytics, data science, big data and AI company a couple of years before this became really big.
I also saw that you were the CEO and then you partner and then managing partner, correct?
Yeah,
I believe
that's correct.
So I just wondered, with these also it's a range of positions. So was it a steep learning curve that you had to go through?
Yeah, I think so. It is challenging to get the responsibility, you would say. So I think it was a kind of a steep learning curve, yeah.
And then hopefully that prepared you for Tembi. And something interesting I saw on Tembi that I want to share with you. On their website, it says, "We give you market intelligence that gives you a competitive edge." I just wonder, what is this edge then? What do you see as the uniqueness of Tembi?
So now, if you can say that as a business, you want to make sure that you succeed. So you have a strategy that you want to be the first in something, or own a market, or whatever it is, have a market share, or whatever it is. And you try to make the right decisions as a company to reach these goals. But the thing is that you can make all the plans and all the strategies you can internally, but so far companies have made decisions based on the gut feeling, the insights, the expertise on the people. They might have asked some consultants, or they might use their own data, internal data, so BI, but that doesn't tell anything about what's happening in the outside world here. And that is what is making the difference for you. How's the market going? What are the competitors doing? What are the customer segments? How are these things doing? But that your ability to know this and to succeed to make and execute the right decisions depends on the fact that you are able to gather information across millions of data sources, and you're able to boil that down. You're able to make a predictive statement about what will happen, which companies will be relevant for us to go into, and who of those will be the relevant for us in the years to come. And as a human mind, that is simply unfeasible, and that is also unfeasible for a team, because we would spend like thousands of hours just to try to get there. But with open data and cloud and machine learning, we can do that for you. So that is basically what we do, is that we gather all this, we transform this open data into an intelligence that make you as an organization succeed, but also as individuals in that organization succeed. For instance, if you work within real estate and you want to know, should we build a new company or new company office building right here? You would need to know, what would this area look like down the line? How many companies will be there? Which ones will move in, and these things. So we can assist you on that. If you are working within logistics, last mile carrier, for instance, like you would know them all, UPS, FedEx, DPD, whatever they're called in different countries. You would need to know how many companies are there, how many web shops are there. Are we number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the checkout, or aren't we? And you can say that you can, as a company, go in at an individual customer basis and look at those and say, okay, now I'm number 1 in, let's say, H&M, Hennes and Mauritz. We are number 1 in their checkout. And that is really important if you are PostNord, for instance, or if you are GLS. Because if you're number 2 or number 3, your volumes would drop with 80%. But we can instantly tell you, are you number 1? Now you're number 2. We can also tell you, are you going to be number 1 and moving forward as well, these kind of things. And the thing is that we're talking thousands. Just in the Netherlands, for instance, we have 85,000 web shops. And of course, None of the big companies there can sit and monitor each and every one of those 85,000 web shops on a daily basis, or even a monthly or biannual basis. It isn't feasible. But that is what we can do. So we connect your strategy, where your position, how is the market going, with your daily operations as well, so you can execute on that.
And that's what prescriptive intelligence is?
Yes, that is.
Okay.
That is making sure that you're assisted in making and executing the right decisions based on intelligence. And intelligence is about taking decisions that gets you to the goal that you want to achieve.
And has AI been involved in this a lot? Or is it something that you're going to incorporate, or maybe you prefer not to?
We use you can say AI is as many that's actually a lot of different things, and we have used machine learning for years, and the company we built here over the last 1 to 2 years here, we are also using machine learning. So when we're predicting if a company would move, that is machine learning. If it will grow or not, that is machine learning, based off millions of observations going years back, coupling from different various data sources. When we are going in, we're also using NLP, natural language processing. That is what is behind Chat GPT that everyone knows. We've used that for some years as well, simply to go in and to be able to extract and understand information about companies. We're also using visual recognition models. That is also AI or machine learning. So we use that in many ways. And I think the Chat GPT is good because now people start to see the benefits, but it's also just a small piece of what the world will bring when it comes to analytics.
Yeah. Why did you and the company decide to focus on real estate and e-commerce to begin with?
So we are building a horizontal platform. So this means that our data foundation and our models can be applied across various industries and various functions in a company and these things. But we are still a small company, so we are still between the startup and the scale-up phase here. So we can't handle every issue on the world. So you simply need to focus on some things that you can be really good at to begin with, and then develop from there. That is what is called a beachhead as well. The reason we chose to work with these things is that is where we have simply seen the fastest adoption and the highest maturity level of organization understanding. We need to embark on this and we need to be first, and then we'll grow from there.
During your time at Tembi, have there been any challenges that you've had to overcome? And, obviously, how did you overcome them?
I think we have nothing but challenges. So, and you need to, if you want to be a founder and you want to, to head a company, you should like that. You have to be prepared for it so of course we keep constantly thinking about, how do we recruit the best people? How do we engage on that? That is pretty important. This is also a competitive field here. And I would not say that we have overcome it, because we will keep growing. So we will that will be a recurring challenge for us, but we do our best here. Then I think we have had some, you can say strategic discussions and issues. How do we make sure that we take these verticals and this data foundation and unlock it to different industries? And I think the way we have tried to overcome this so far has simply been to, have a focus on the mindset that we want to go there. We might not go there all the way to begin with, but we do our best, and then we have that as a lighthouse. But also engaging with people internally and externally of our organization. We talk with our clients, we talk with potential clients, and hear what are they saying. So that is something as well. And then of course, the last thing around this is our aim is to grow 10% every month. So that is, and from 1 month to another, that is something that you can do. But over a couple of years, this means that we have to do double or even triple every year in the size that we have. And that will be a recurring challenge as well. So understanding how can we develop our market, how can we see our customer segments, how do we expand from there, how do we see this thing go? Do we need to go into other countries? Can we grow our clients at the same time? And I think one of the main focuses for us has been to, and is right now, that is to keep professionalizing this. We invest in systems that support our work. We invest in customer success systems. We invest in marketing. We invest in integrating sales and marketing with automation. We invest in getting people on board that have been through this before. So our customer success manager, she has been like working with this in other companies before. We have a CCO starting Monday, and he's been doing this for 10 years. Our new CMO who started during the summer, he has been building the SaaS companies as well. So investing in having the right people on board that are, still very hungry, but at the same time have an experience that they can bring to the table, so that we, try to avoid some of the hiccups that we will meet along the way.
Just one other thing about the company, talking about the future, like you just said, you said perhaps expanding into other countries. Is there a country you guys are looking at, and obviously what's the reason behind that?
Yeah, so right now we are operational in Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland, the Netherlands, and November 1st we are operational in Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania as well at the same time. And then our roadmap is to expand to other European countries step by step. First, we take we engage in some of the smaller ones. So this will be like Belgium, Switzerland, Austria, and then we take some of the bigger ones, because we need to make sure that the learning that we do on the smaller markets, because when we enter the bigger market, we would want to scale fast. So for us, it's about learning from different markets and from markets that are not so big as well. But you can say that we started from Denmark and have started broadening from there. And you can say that our go-to-market strategy is that we have clients that are companies that are big. Typically, most of our companies' clients operate in different countries, and they're regionalized as well. So typically, they would work in the Nordics, or the Nordics and Benelux, or Denmark and Benelux, and that kind of thing. And some of our clients work in the Nordics and the UK. So we try, because then when we're in and we succeed with the client, then they actually help us to their peers in other countries. So that is the way we want to grow to begin with. It gives another kind of reference, a lot of other possibilities, of course, to open up new clients and to succeed with those, instead of just starting from scratch every time.
Just my final question. If you could swap roles with any other department in your company, what would it be and why?
If I could swap roles with any other,
maybe to learn some new skills or something, understand them better.
I've been in sales, business development, and you can say customer success for some years as well. I have not over the recent years, I have not been coding as much as I might have done 10 years ago. I have had a lot of people that have been doing this for me. So I typically tend to think of what can we do with this? Where can we go? I can see the potential. I can see cross data sources and analytics potentials as well, because I've been in this intermediary role between tech and clients. But sometimes I think it would be amazing just to be able to sit down and program something neat an entire day. I think it would be awesome. I have a son, and he's programming a lot. Also, he's just turned 15, doing some games and machine learning and these things. And it's just fun sometimes to sit with him and doing these kind of things. So if I could do this to a bigger extent, I think that would be awesome.
Nice. Okay. Well, maybe you could start a side hustle perhaps, and then see where that company goes with you, son.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. I really appreciate your time. I know you must be extremely busy, but thank you very much, and wish you all the best with Tembi.
Thank you, Chris. It's been a pleasure to have this conversation with you. I liked it a lot.
Thank you very much.